Welcome to Morgan's Game Therapy, a channel where you listen to a random stranger on the internet talk about TTRPGs and give unsolicited advice on problems that don't concern me. I hope your day, night, weekend is going well, and I hope you enjoy the video. Today we're going to have a bit of a shorter video. My voice still hurts from the last hour-long recording session. So today we're going to read some Am I the A-hole posts on the /RPG Horror Stories subreddit. I love RPGs, I love horror stories, and I love Am I the A-hole posts, so why not combine them all into one nice package? Let's get the show on the road. Am I the A-hole? DM keeps killing my character off. By DoReputation5910. Hey guys, I've been having a bad experience in this current campaign I'm playing. I am playing a, now level 11, lizardfolk cleric, who I've been really enjoying so far. He meshes well with the party, and his spells come in handy pretty often. My DM doesn't like him so much though. It's nothing extreme like banning spells or nerfing my abilities, but I'm beginning to notice a trend during combat. A few sessions ago, the party was fighting some undead in the crypts beneath an abandoned city. There was a group of zombies that swarmed us, led by a powerful skeleton warrior called a Murum. The Murum was wreaking havoc among the party pretty equally, scoring some strong hits on the barbarian and monk. I used Destroy Undead to get rid of the zombies, and as soon as I did, things changed. The Murum started targeting only my cleric and nobody else. Even when the monk was more open, and even when the barbarian triggered an opportunity attack, the Murum only attacked me. It ended up killing my character, and the party had to revive him. When they cast Revivify though, the DM made them roll against a high DC to succeed, saying that my soul was far away from my body and not eager to return. Anyway, they rolled high and I came back. After that, there were some more combats where the enemies grouped up only to attack my cleric, ignoring the rest of the party members. I got frustrated about this, so I talked with the DM, and she said that she's just roleplaying the enemies in a fair way. She said that reasonable enemies would only target the healer and take them down first. I said that I felt kind of singled out, and she just laughed it off. Next combat, a wizard killed my character again. This brings us to the most recent session, where a fight against the monk's story arc boss ended up with me dead. The boss only targeted me once again. He got revived for the third time, and is reconsidering being with the party now. If he keeps dying over and over, what reason does he have to continue this journey? Am I wrong in thinking this, that I'm being targeted? No, OP, I don't think you are. I think it's fair to say that you are being targeted, considering you are being targeted in combat and you are dying consistently. It's fair, sometimes, to say that yes, enemies should have some consistency as to how they're fighting. If they're smart enemies, they shouldn't just be wildly swinging around. But to say that every enemy, ever, would know first what a healer looks like, and mind you, clerics are not exactly carrying the red cross on them, right? Most of them are dressed as warriors, holy warriors, but still armor, leather, chain warriors, just with a holy symbol. Most enemies would not be able to recognize that as a healer right off the bat. And even if they do, even if you're fighting an int 25 lich that is also a god and is omnipresent, it's just unfair. Sometimes as DMs you have to balance that line between what is logical for your bad guy and what is fun for the party. Targeting the healer and only the healer all the time is not fun. And I think in this case, the DM just wants to get rid of you because they don't know how to handle your being able to turn undead, which honestly is a lousy excuse to kill a character, because the cleric ability to deal with undead is very specific, does not make them OP, it is useful in a very limited amount of situations, and lets them feel epic. It's like trying to kill off the paladin because they can smite and annihilate demons and the infernal. right? They can just murder anything infernal or undead. That does not mean you should just kill off the paladin in your party. Generally, this is a bad move. If you're having trouble dealing with the player's abilities, whether they're OP or not, just talk to them. Say, hey, I am having trouble with this. Can we maybe consider a substitute? Can we do something else? I have had a particular problem with a player who is a power builder, arguably objectively the most powerful party member in that campaign. I could not, for the life of me, manage to work with him being an Echo Knight. It was partially because the rules for Echo Knights were not defined yet. The Echo Knight had just come out. No one knew what to do with them. A lot of the specifics of how the Echo interacts with things and how spells and other effects interact with the Echo were not yet established. So it was difficult for me to make those rulings because I was still fairly fresh as a DM. And the player was also just objectively more powerful than everyone else. The rest of the party were just sitting there eating popcorn while he was murdering everything with his Echo without even being in danger at all. So I came to the player, said, hey, I'm feeling frustrated. I don't know how to balance combats. I hate combats as a DM already. I'm not good at them. I don't particularly like them. This is not fun for me. Can we work something out? And the player said, yeah, I am willing to change subclasses. So we had a little training session, little montage of him getting training from a dwarven lady to become a rune knight. Problem solved. Easy as that. No one had to die, except a whole lot of goblins, but they have to die anyway, so it's fine. Communication, people. Number one rule of all D&D, communication. Not the a-hole. Talk to your DM, and if they keep blowing you off, then just leave. Man, it's not worth it. If your DM is mean to you and doesn't listen, find someone else. DM Runes Campaign in One Session by Mini Mork. So I, 13 male, started my first campaign over Discord with 9 months of experience playing D&D 5e, and 2 people joined. Burger, 17 male, and Meep, 18 female. Not wanting to start a campaign with only 2 out of 5 players, I invited a friend, Veal, 11 male, who's never played before. My friend and I ran a single-player one-shot to teach him some of the game's rules. The day of the game came, and it went fairly well. However, at one point, he tried to steal feathers from an old farmer's wife, who berated him, so he sliced her in half. This caused chaos, but wanting to get on with the campaign, this might seem a bit railroady, I had the soldiers put him in the jail on a ship they had to take to another island. Meep, the second player from Discord, had made their character sheet years ago, so they had stats over the max and stuff. I thought it went well, and made my dinner after the session with a smile on my face. When I get back to my laptop, I see I have a DM from Burger, saying he doesn't feel happy with the campaign since Vial is a murder hobo, and Meep joined halfway through, they were late even though they said they'd be there on time, and don't have their character sheet sorted out, so I'm a bit red-faced now, thinking I've ruined my first non-friends campaign, and tell the party what had happened. Meep says they're sorry for that, and that they'd leave because of what they'd done, so I'm left with just my friend Vial. I feel terrible, and like I've ruined the game for Vial. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit. Pick off Discord PMs to get rid of doubt. Black redacted. Hey man, I gotta talk to you about the other players. Are you aware Meep has a 23 in charisma? Apparently they made their sheet years ago, so they don't know how they ended up with those stats. I think they should roll again in the server. Okay, you know what? I really don't think I'm vibing with this party very well. One is a murder hobo, and the other has no idea what's going on with their sheet. I think I should leave. Mini Mork. Oh, I can try to get Vial under control, and I could ask Meep to re-roll. Please don't leave. To be honest, I don't know if it'll be much fun without you. And who knows, new guy might be good. Oh, you've already left the server. Bye then. Oh, you've probably blocked me, haven't you? Which is why you're not responding. Oh, I've ruined everything. Okay, I'm gonna go with a not an a-hole here, specifically because it's a first-time DM, come on. You did not ruin everything. It's okay. Sometimes things just don't work out. Your friend Veyal is a first-timer. Sometimes people who just start out want to play D&D like they play Skyrim or GTA, which is running around stabbing everything, stealing everything, looting everything, taking armor off of corpses just to see if it looks like they're going to be naked. Especially at that age, no offense to anyone watching this who might be 13 or 11. Actually, please don't watch these videos if you're 13 or 11. I will probably and have already covered things that I don't want children that age to see, and I am uncomfortable by your presence. Please don't do that. I will see you in several years. That being said, 13-year-olds and 11-year-olds should be perfectly fine playing D&D. And I think the real mistake here is playing with people who are way older than you and probably not into the same kind of playstyle that your age group would be into. I think you should find some players who are within your age range. Find some players who haven't played before. Introduce your young friends to D&D. I think it's fine to start out a little murder hobo-y and then grow into being an RPer. I think Burger in this scenario was expecting a more mature campaign, which I don't think is a fair expectation. And honestly, I don't know why Meep is playing in this game. I have icky feelings about grown adults playing with literal children. I understand that some people are perfectly capable playing with them without bringing anything weird up, but it's just a very strange dynamic that I do not personally subscribe to. The OP is not the a-hole and did not ruin the game for his friend. I just think that the two players he found on Discord are not the target demographic that he should be looking for. I think he should stick to people roughly in the same age range and teach them how to play and learn how to play with them. A little more confidence, my friend. You will be fine. Am I the a-hole? Party claims nothing they did mattered versus I claim their actions had consequences by Anti-Authority for Life. Trigger warning, the content is dark and gory, or it was until I cut a bit out. Edit. Since the original was apparently too long, I decided to shorten it drastically. If anyone wants more context about a certain part, I can provide it in the comments. Edit 2. For anyone curious, this is basically what the original OP looked like. It's a very long post, for anyone wondering. I'm not gonna go read it, but it's just basically a long multi-part post. I explained their actions had consequences. Consequences? Oh, my accent is coming out. Consequences. Players fed several man-eating monsters that didn't particularly care for them outside of being a food source. Were surprised the monsters went on to do bad things to people. Players said they would help a group of people who were hurt by a cult, then teamed up with the cult first chance they got and were confused as to why the group of victims were angry at them. Players were confused as to why the townspeople they spooked a short while ago are suspicious of the players conveniently showing up with a man-eating super monster that claims to know them. Players try pitting two armies that would rather not fight against each other. One player tells someone, a spy, they've known for maybe 2 hours, very sensitive information that results in two armies of monsters uniting against them, as well as planting their base in the middle of what they hoped would turn into a war zone. One implied releasing a super virus on enemies that wanted to go out into the outside world, spreading to other people, would be me trying to screw them over. I believe this comes down to very different interpretations of cause and effect and consequences between me and my players. They basically argued that nothing mattered and all their choices would fail. Anyway, do any of the actions I mentioned above seem fair or unfair? No! This is the prime example of F around and find out. I think your players have learned from video games, and this is I just keep bringing this up every time. People sometimes play D&D as if they're playing a video game in which you can just do stuff and no one notices or cares unless we're specifically programmed to care. And this is something that needs to be established in session 0. Actions do in fact have consequences, and they are not always good. It just depends on what you do, when, and how. You cannot always succeed, and you also cannot just do what you want because some people will disagree with that. The problem here isn't the understanding of cause and effect, it's more what is it that your players want out of this game versus what it is that you want out of this game. It seems like they want to mess around, do stuff, poke every button, and not get any of the bad consequences. Which is a perfectly valid method of playing if the DM is also in on it. Which in this case, it does not seem as if the DM is in on it, which makes the entire situation problematic. I think you need to sit down with your players and say, hey, this is the game I want to run. This is what you're trying to do. Can we work out an intermediary? And if you can't, then it's a simple matter of these people not being the right fit for your table, which happens all the time. This is the number one reason why groups don't stay together or players leave or DMs end sessions. Sometimes things just don't match up, and that's fine. So no, not the a-hole. I hope you find an understanding with your party and manage to move forward from this, or find a new group that is willing to live with the consequences of their actions if they choose to do stupid things like this. Story 4. Let's do this. Am I the a-hole because I want everyone to suffer equally? I love this title. By Dragon's Little Spawn. It's not exactly a horror, but let me explain. I'm running Descent into Avernus for a group that I usually play other campaigns with. I'm a beginner DM, and I don't know everything yet. Relatable. In the first session, right after entering Baldur's Gate and receiving the task, the team spread out a bit around the city. I quickly created a subordinate of their client to gather everyone in the meeting place. Unfortunately, it looked like this NPC was a bit too attached to the friend's PC, and his PC wasn't comfortable with it. The rest of the players liked NPC very much. Later, I asked everyone if they had any suggestions, and asked my friend if I hadn't overdone it with this strange roleplay. He didn't mind and had fun too. I thought that since we're going to Avernus anyway, where every victory means a defeat, I'll get the players used to it. In each session, a different player will be the target of minor misfortunes and inconveniences. Nobody protested, and I even got a volunteer for the next session. Only one person started shouting that her PC should be left alone because they're nobility and you don't want to mess with nobility. This particular player can be problematic and has more than once threatened other players with the death of their PC when the plot was focused on them, or with abandoning the session when her roles weren't working out, so her character didn't have the most frags. Frags? I don't know what that means. I think I'm too old for this slang. She often hides herself by saying that she was bullied at school, and it's a sensitive topic for her. But on the other hand, I bullied another player, and she didn't say anything. I plan to torment them with occasional bad luck and minor inconveniences. I don't want to destroy players and their PCs mentally and physically, but that player stays on her hill. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Should I give up this idea for her, or should I go for it this time? Forgive my English, it's my second language. Let's answer the questions in order here. No, OP, you're not the a-hole in this situation. Should you give up on this idea? No. Because it's a cool idea and it fits with the theme of the story. You should definitely not give it up for just her, because then you're making her a special snowflake. what is happening right now, in essence, is the player says, hey, I want to play in a serious, kind of dark, dangerous campaign, but I don't want anything to happen to my precious OC, so just punish everyone else and leave me alone. First off, punishment, consequences, effects, and other such things in D&D is not bullying. As someone who's been bullied, this is not bullying. This is just a mechanic in the game. It's like saying that if I get opportunity attacked when my Bladesinger wizard moves out of range of an attack, that's the DM bullying me. How dare he use a mechanic against me? Oh, the horror. I think the person is being dramatic. I don't think you should allow them to be this way, because don't set a precedent that they're going to use against you later on. And if you do this, if you allow this person to be a special snowflake immune to effects of bad things, are you going to keep this up for the rest of the game? Because if you are, I think the rest of your players will have something to say about that. Because that's unfair. And if the player doesn't want to play the game as it is intended to play, as you are intending to play it, in the way that everyone else is playing it, then I'm sorry, they're just not a good fit for this game. Let them go. It's fine. But saying that they're being bullied by consequences in a D&D game, fair consequences, mind you, fair consequences that are being shared by everyone randomly, right? You're not just picking her character out and killing them over and over again like we had in a previous story. You're just using a mechanic on everyone, which is fine. Person needs to get off their high horse and stop playing the victim, because this is not the hill you should be dying on. Just no. Not the a-hole. Also, English is hard, I understand. It is also my second language. It has rules, but almost every word is an exception to those rules, so the rules don't matter, and we suffer. Alright, we're gonna end this off on an extra long one, because, I can't resist. Even though I said this will be a shorter video, it will be, but we have to have at least one extra long story in here for the good times. Am I the a-hole for feeling like the DM doesn't treat the party like actual protagonists? By throwaway 6363. Throwaway account, because I am not sure if the DM or some of the other players read these horror stories. So I've been with this DM since the beginning of my D&D experience, somewhere around 2 years ago. And while I've had plenty of fun in his campaigns, one thing that has always peeved me is that more often than not, it feels like we're not allowed to be considered the real protagonists of the story. What I mean by this is, being more specific, that constantly throughout his campaigns, there are always NPCs that end up being uber-powerful warriors comparable to actual gods. For example, when we were playing a game set in the world of League of Legends, the DM introduced this one NPC that was basically a mixture of literally everything. A bat vastayashire. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I am not that deep into League lore, I'm sorry. In other words, a race of ancient, super powerful spirit beings, of which eventually came the Vastaya, Arya's race. Oh, okay. Good to know. That was like 2,000 years old and wielded a darkened sword that only she could wield, because, once again, she's a... I'm sorry, I'm not saying that again. Vastayashire. Oh, okay, I got it, I think. And so if anyone else tried to wield it, they would get somewhere around 10d12 unresistible fire damage if they wielded it for more than 2 rounds. Damn. For context, a Darkin is the result of a ritual that utilizes the power of the Targonian aspects, aka actual gods, in an attempt to ascend into a new godly form, but which resulted in creating a nigh unkillable abomination that was then sealed inside a weapon. This is what happened to every Darkin, not just the one the NPC had. Okay, complicated. Also, she's one of the only remaining Wuju masters in the world. A legendary sword-fighting style so utterly broken it could defeat entire armies all by itself, and which in the actual League canon only Master Yi still knows. So what I'm gathering is that she is a god, spirit, ancient creature that has a super special awesome magic weapon that only she can use, and the weapon is a sentient, super powerful creature, and also she knows martial arts. Okay, that's not broken at all. That's average NPC right there. Average farmer. Also, apparently because of her being a bat, oh, there's more? She has blood powers or something like that. How does that even... Bats don't have... Okay, moving on. It would be one thing if this was the only NPC like that, but it isn't. Her two children, because both of them were also Vastya Rashare, they're apparently super powerful and have special darkness magic. Of course they do, why wouldn't they? One time we actually had to catch these two kids, who for the record were no older than 10 at the time. That sounds weird. Super powerful children. That sounds normal. They turned out to be so absurdly powerful. The encounter turned out to be a boss fight. Why are you fighting 10-year-olds? In which I got one-shotted by a 10-year-old because one of the kids, the boy of the two, which I make right now for distinction, who had a sword made of true ice, magical ice that should kill anyone that isn't an iceborn. Why could he wield it? You guessed it, Vastya whatever, though it did have a weakness to cold damage, that also helped. I mean, I think he would have just killed you even if you weren't weak to cold damage. This just sounds like a scripted event. And which then proceeded to multi-attack me until I had taken so much damage my character should have outright been killed, but wasn't for some reason. That reason probably being the DM realized that this is absolutely bull. And yet, the DM still can't fathom why my character, who was a monk that had been trained since childhood at Lee Sin's monastery and was twice the kid's age at the time, would still feel humiliated about getting one-shotted by a 10-year-old 5 years later. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Why would you feel bad about being one-shotted by a child? Totally normal occurrence every day, yeah. And the kid's sister basically outshined my character's plot point. You see, my character was a half-dragon, something that should be extremely rare by the lore, but which simply wasn't for some reason. I ended up casually meeting multiple half-dragons in a world where canonically there is only one recorded instance of the race being a thing, who was born out of special bunch of eggs. It turns out my own character had a sister and an older brother, and each of us had a prophecy of their own. My own is that I would aid all of Ionia, my character's home region, in achieving a new age of peace, except what that amounted to was me revealing that people of Ionia about spirits that were already there, which led to them learning new ways to defend themselves. That's it. Meanwhile, my sister, she was born out of reflavored orb of dragonkind, and turned out to be completely feral, so I wasn't even allowed to try and bond with her because she'd attack me. Her prophecy was simple. One day she would be the answer of the people of Ionia to the oppression of the neighboring region of Noxus, and would result to be the one bringing ruin to all of Noxus. Except she was supposed to have a rider. Take a wild guess who it turned out to be? If you answered the Bat Lady's daughter and sister of the kid that should have killed my character, you win a cookie, cause you're completely right. Yay, I won a cookie. I love cookies. Speaking of the brother, we ended up meeting his future counterpart, where he had time traveled in an attempt to stop an army of demons from reappearing, who turned out to have the power of an aspect. I can't remember which one it was though. Also, I should mention that when said army of demons reappeared, we were then introduced to 4 heroes of old that were all Gestalt characters that defeated one of the oldest demons in the world and who would help us fight the army. Do you see a pattern here yet, dear reader? No, all of these characters, superpowered characters that have way more relevance to the plot than you, must be a simple coincidence. I am convinced, absolutely. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice? The one thing that peeves me to this day is when we met the Sword Saint, the woman that invented the Wuju style. Due to plot reasons, we had to fight her, but the problem is that she regenerated almost any damage dealt to her unless it was from the sword the Bat Lady NPC I mentioned earlier had, in which case she could not regenerate. The result? We got our asses handed to us on a silver platter, and my master, Lee Sin, had to pull a might guy to send her flying to the stratosphere, ending the fight and resulting in him ending up wheelchair bound. She survived that, and now when my character wishes to be able to put her to rest like she wants, if nothing more than to make my master's sacrifice worth a damn, we can't. Bat Lady won't let us have her sword to try it again, and she's too badass for us to beat her even when we're level 20 at this point, meaning that the only two options for actually beating the Sword Saint was to either honorably 1v1 her. Spoiler alert, we couldn't. The DM instantly hand-waved it away as us getting our asses beat one by one in a matter of seconds, no rolls involved. Or try to jump her and fight dirty, all of us at the same time, which without the Bat Lady's darkened sword was completely impossible. So you don't have options though. That's not options. The final battle against an angel driven to annihilate everything, an NPC had to cast imprisonment off of a scroll because by the DM's own admission, the final boss had no HP at all. And to add insult to injury, we weren't even credited for saving the world until I talked with my DM nearly a year after this campaign was over, at which point he basically retconned the part about us not being credited. But it doesn't matter now, when the campaign has been over for well over a year. At the same time though, I have had rather unfortunate events regarding my own behavior in a different campaign, where I had a bad case of main character syndrome. And I will admit, because it's been quite a while since the campaign, a lot of details are foggy at best, so there's probably a lot of extra content I am forgetting. Everything I've written here is only there because I can remember it clearly. And at this point, I just don't know if I'm in the wrong for wanting to feel more validated as a hero, or if it's just my main character syndrome acting up. Am I the a-hole? First, I would like to commend the OP for admitting that he has main character syndrome sometimes in some games. It takes a lot of effort to understand, to accept, and to acknowledge. But I think in this case, assuming that everything here is true to the degree it can be, and without the added context of the DM's perspective or any extra details, just taking this story at face value, no, not the a-hole. Why? Because the point of TTRPGs is for the players to feel like they're a hero. That's why most of us play D&D, Pathfinder, Scum and Villainy. Even if you're playing evil characters, you want to feel like the main characters. That's the point. You are the party. Even if the world does not revolve around you, you matter. You push the story forward. Without you, things would not be the same. In this case, what I'm seeing is the DM has a lot of cool ideas for characters and for a story for these characters, to the point where they overshadow the PCs, which defeats the point of having the PCs. You could just write a book with the cool characters. And I think the most egregious thing here that for me solidifies this OP's complaints as valid. When you take someone's backstory and you defeat the point of it. This character's master had sacrificed himself in a move that doesn't seem necessary, because it's very cool to have a Deus Ex Machina come in and save the party at the last minute when they have shown their investment in a particular character, when they have forged a bond, when they have earned the Deus Ex Machina. And at that last moment when you think all is lost, the Deus Ex Machina comes in and saves you. That can be cool. But here, it seems like the DM realized that, oh, the characters are going to die, I'm just going to pull this out of my butt to save you. This is consistently seen through this DM style when they almost technically did kill the PC and then said they didn't die. That to me screams, oh, I did not intend for you to die, I just wanted to show off. Which again raises the question, why are you playing a TTRPG? Why are you playing D&D? Point of D&D is to tell a story with your party, not at your party. It is important to have powerful people in your world. You can't have an entire world with everyone being a level 0 peasant. But you have to make the players feel important, otherwise you're taking away the single most important aspect of why they're there. And if your players are wondering, why am I even here? They're going to start leaving. Honestly, I don't know why this person has stayed as long as they did. Remember, D&D, TTRPGs, everything is an investment of your time. And if you're not getting the good feelies out of a game that you should be getting by being a hero and feeling important, it's not worth it. You have to be getting things out of the game. You have to feel important. Make your players feel important. That's the point. It's why they're there. But yeah, not the a-hole. I hope you talk to this DM, lay it out for them, tell them, hey, this is how I feel. Yes, it's been a while, but maybe it'll help them in the future. Maybe it will help moving forward, and I think you're valid. Alright, that's it for today. I think this is only slightly shorter than before, but it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found my advice at least a little tiny bit useful, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheerios!